Okay, continuation of my texting conversation with Rachel. Does she understand what gaslighting is? She kind of does. She associates it with this really terrible thing that came out about her relative essaying her cousin. And it says, so-and-so did that to so-and-so. When she finally came forth about his abuse, he made her question her perception of reality and tried to convince her and everyone else that she was the one that initiated all the abuse. The actual definition is charged with malice and the intent to hurt. Yeah. Sadly, it's become more of a watered-down buzzword for people who don't understand to use to describe normal disagreements, but for anyone who knows the actual meaning, it's very offensive to be accused of gaslighting. In your case, I know you like to throw out trendy buzzwords like that, but just because mom has said that things didn't happen the way Bryson remembers them doesn't equal gaslighting. When Bryson would have a bipolar episode, he would almost black out in a way, not remember what he said or did objectively. That makes his point of view incomplete. I'm sure you've experienced receiving a skewed point of view story from your own kids, from a writing perspective to excellent points of view. Anyway, so to unpack that, in her mind, whenever I say gaslight, she just dismisses it as me using a buzzword to describe a disagreement of some kind. Discrediting Bryson's personal experience from growing up with their mother, as he was dealing with bipolar episodes, he blacked out. He doesn't actually remember his childhood and what happened, so we can't trust the things he says he does remember about what happened in his childhood. Yeah, I don't think she really fully understands what gaslighting is. Okay, I did some research to keep this accurate. Right, some people who gaslight are doing it to be malicious, while other people do it because they don't know of any other way to deal with conflict. Other times, they'll use it as a defense mechanism when their behavior is called out. There are different types of gaslighting. There's minimizing feelings or thoughts, parentheses efforts, shifting blame, victim blaming, denying wrongdoing, deflecting, rewriting history, refusing to take responsibility for their actions, changing the focus of discussion by questioning someone's credibility, using things you love against you. I counted 6 times that you have used these tactics on me just in your first text of this conversation. Minimizing feelings or efforts. Bryson didn't actually try that hard, or at all, to mend fences. It was super easy for Bryson to cut off Rachel. It's actually proof how hurtful Kyle's words were that Bryson would respond in that drastic way. It was, in reality, ridiculously hard for him. He was an emotional mess afterwards. Bryson yelling or screaming at his family members over the years as a child discredits or minimizes his actual pain of when mom said mean things to him at family dinners. So just because Bryson was acting out as a child means anyone doing it to him doesn't mean anything. Making me question whether mom through dad did actually agree or not to our boundaries when I know she didn't. With something that important, I need to hear it from her own lips and not her spouse. Using things you love against you. My son wanting to go to Snowbird. Rachel talking about her almost dying in childbirth. I know you are not doing these things as to be malicious, I told her. It's the best you know how to deal with conflict. Same as mom. We both want the same things. We both really want to see this family knit back together. You want your brother back. So far, your way of going about that is to 1, ask what our grievances are, 2, pick them apart and gaslight them. This is not the way to fix your family, sis. It was after pointing out these things with evident examples that she stopped responding to my texts. So I have to hope that I might have helped her realize something, that how she was going about this was wrong. I really hope that someday she realizes how abusive her own childhood actually was. I'm not sure how well that's going to go over with her having been the favorite and not really seeing full force what her brothers went through. So as of right now, I don't have her blocked. She can still text me. But if she's going to continue to gaslight when I have instructed her to know better, that will change. I am quite surprised to find out how few people really know what gaslighting is, because unless you know what it is and the different ways that people do it, what's stopping you from doing the same thing when you're trying to manipulate someone, talk someone, convince someone into doing the things you think they should? I have actually done some research into the difference between persuasion and manipulation, and there's quite the fine line there. It really has to do with intent, whether you're convincing someone has to do with your wants versus their needs and their wants. If you're trying to convince someone for their own personal benefit or the benefit of everybody, that's persuasion. If it's like going to help them and be good for them, persuasion. If it has to do with just your own personal wants, can benefit you and very likely injure or hurt the other person, that's manipulation. In my religion, repentance has to do with first discovering that you've done something wrong. Second, fixing it, like saying you're sorry, changing the behavior, not ever doing it again. So hopefully she realizes, oh, this was messed up, like accepts my words as truth, versus just be in super denial about it. And then can change the behavior and not do that anymore.